Well, hello, my radio friends. Now, this is going to be kind of a part two. In a previous video, I touched on the possibility of using an RCA 100 driver as a replacement for the original driver and these tower ship speakers one sees here. And I spoke of it in a broad sense previously. In this video, I want to do a little more specificity as far as what one needs to do to actually make this particular retrofit. Not a difficult task, but there are some things one has to pay attention to. I want to touch on first off the modifications to the driver, modifications to the speaker frame itself, and of course the dimensions of this particular adapter plate. Anyway, let's get started. Now, first and foremost, this RCA 100 driver, when one removes it from the donor speaker, two things you need to do. First and foremost, one has to flip this particular drive assembly over 180 degrees. Notice this drive arm is going vertical in this particular application. When one removes it from the RCA speaker, this is actually going to be pointing downward. Very easy to do. Remove these two screws and just flip this unit over. The reason that is critical is that with this original configuration, this pin going downward, in order to maintain center line of this drive pin, one needs to raise this bracket up so high, in fact, to where this phenolic adapter plate comes high enough where it becomes visible in these two openings. I certainly did not want that, so I thought of, well, let's flip this around, and I flipped it over. This drive pin now goes vertical, and it allowed me to drop this whole assembly down considerably lower while maintaining the center line, but also take everything out of view. So it worked real well. So first, once again, flip this piece around 180. Secondly, when it's removed, in this, you're going to find a screw that's actually epoxied in to this particular arm, this drive arm. Don't try to unscrew it. You're not going to do it. What I do is I take a Dremel tool with an abrasive wheel on it, and I cut that screw off, and then I clean this assembly up, removing the adhesive and glue that's there. I take a piece of brass stock, like one sees here. I bend it at a 90, and I soldered it right to this drive piece, this arm. I like brass because it's easily solderable, bends readily, but yet works well in this application. And go as large of a diameter of a piece of brass stock as one can, as long as it fits through the hardware on the apex of the cone. I find the larger of a piece one goes, the less vibration goes on within this piece of metal. So go to a largest stock that's available. Now, as far as the speaker itself, the modification that I always do, originally, here's your two mount holes, here and here. It's an odd pitch. It's an odd, very fine thread pitch. Just take a 632 tap and run a tap in those screws. No need to drill. It works rather well. Just take the tap and tap those holes to 632. That way you have a more of a common screw configuration. Works real well. Now, the adapter plate itself, I like this phenolic. The reason I like this phenolic is, one, it's easily toolable. Two, it's very, very strong material. And also, probably lastly, is it negates a metal-to-metal contact between the driver and the speaker frame. Because I found that if one has a hard metal bound, screwed mounted contact to the frame, it induces some metallic noises to the frame. The frame will actually become resonant and induce some metallic tones. So this phenolic is strong, like I say, easy to drill, easy to tool, and it negates that, what I just mentioned, the metallic noise. As far as the holes go within this, I'm going to post a picture of all the dimensions of this particular template, so one doesn't have to fight through all the arduous measurements left, right, whatnot in order to get it centered properly within the cone. So I'll post a picture of that to add some clarity to that and make it much easier for those that wish to do so. And I will touch on real quick, if I may, these two screws one sees down here. I just merely drilled these to 632, this phenolic to 632, use two screws, and it becomes a tie point for the connection between the driver coil and the speaker wire, and it also adds, like I say, some strength and rigidity to it. So two screw holes, 632, and two little short 632 screws holds everything together really, really well. So anyway, that is it in a nutshell. Let me touch one other thing. On this side, one is going to have to add some spacers to between the driver and this phenolic piece. Just whatever's available, nothing critical. And of course, the hardware, one's going to need to purchase to do so. In fact, I think I was able to reuse one of the original bolts here. I had to replace one of the other one, a real long one. So just some common hardware, 632 tap, couple 632 screws, nothing out of the ordinary. And if one, in the end, will have a pretty good operable speaker. Now, if you're asking me which one sounds better, it's really hard to say. I will say the RCA speaker, I think, has a little more of a, I'll say, a richer, deeper tone than the original driver. But I like them both. I think they both work quite well. So anyway, I hope that answers some questions, adds some clarity to it. And of course, if you have questions, as I always say, feel free to ask. And of course, as always, until next time.